Chapter 27. Conflux. In many ways, he was the backbone of Steelheart's rule, a mysterious figure even when compared to the likes of Firefight and Nightwielder. I had no good photos of Conflux. The few I'd paid dearly to get were blurry and unspecific. I couldn't even know if he was real. The van thumped as it moved through the dark streets of New Chicago. It was stuffy inside. I sat in the passenger seat, with Megan driving. Cody and Abraham were in the back. Prof was running point in a different vehicle, and Tia was running support back at our base, watching spy videos of the city's streets. It was a frigid day, and the heater in our van didn't work. Abraham hadn't got around to fixing it. Prof's words ran through my mind. We've considered hitting Conflux before, but discarded the idea because we thought it would be too dangerous. We still have the plans we made. It's no less dangerous now, but we're in deep. No reason not to move forward. Was Conflux real? My gut said he was. Much as the clues pointed to Firefight being a fabrication, the clues surrounding Conflux added up to something being there, a powerful but fragile epic. Steelheart moves Conflux around, Prof had said, never letting him stay long in the same place. But there's a pattern to how he's moved. He often uses an armored limo with 6 guards and a 2-motorcycle escort. If we watch for that, wait until he uses that convoy to move, we can hit him on the streets in transit. The clues. Even with power plants, Steelheart didn't have enough electricity to run the city, and yet he somehow produced those fuel cells. The mechanized armor units didn't pack power sources, and neither did many of the copters. The fact that they were powered directly by high-ranking members of enforcement wasn't much of a secret. Everyone knew it. He was out there, a gifter who could make energy in a form that could power vehicles, fill fuel cells, even light a large chunk of the city. That level of power was awesome, but no more so than what Nightwielder or Steelheart held. The most powerful epics set their own scale of strength. The van bumped, and I gripped my rifle, held low, safety on, barrel pointed down and toward the door. Out of sight, but handy, just in case. Tia had spotted the right kind of limo convoy today, and we'd scrambled. Megan drove us to a point where our road would intersect with Conflux's limo. Her eyes were characteristically intense, though there was a particular edge to her today. Not fear, just worry, maybe? You don't think we should be doing this, do you? I asked. I think I made that clear, Megan said, her voice even, eyes ahead. Steelheart doesn't need to fall. I'm talking about Conflux specifically, I said. You're nervous. You're not normally nervous. I just don't think we know enough about him, she said. We shouldn't be hitting an epic we don't even have photographs of. But you are nervous. She drove, eyes forward and hands tight on the wheel. It's okay, I said. I feel like a brick made of porridge. She looked at me, brow scrunching up. The van's cab fell silent. Then Megan started to laugh. No, I said. It makes sense. Listen, a brick is supposed to be strong, right? But if one were secretly made of porridge, and all the other bricks didn't know, he'd sit around worrying that he'd be weak when the rest of them were strong. He'd get smushed when he was placed in the wall, you see. Maybe get some of his porridge mixed with that stuff they stick between bricks. Megan was laughing even harder now. So hard she was actually gasping for breath. I tried to keep explaining, but found myself smiling. I don't think I'd ever heard her laugh. Really laugh. Not chuckle, not part her lips in wry mockery, but truly laugh. She was almost in tears by the time she got control of herself. I think we were fortunate she didn't crash into a post or something. David, she said between gasps, I think that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard anyone say. The most outlandishly, audaciously ridiculous. Sparks, she said, exhaling. I needed that. You did? She nodded. Can we pretend that's why I said it, then? She looked at me, smiling, eyes sparkling. The tension was still there, but it had retreated somewhat. Sure, she said. I mean, bad puns are something of an art, right? So why not bad metaphors? Exactly. And if they are an art, you are a master painter. Well, actually, I said, that won't work, you see, because the metaphor makes too much sense. I'd have to be like the ace pilot or something. I cocked my head. Actually, that makes a little bit of sense, too. Sparks. Doing it badly unintentionally or intentionally was hard, too. I found that decidedly unfair. Y'all okay up there? Cody said in our ears. The back of the van was separated from the cab by a metal partition, like in a service van. There was a little window in it, but Cody preferred to use the mobiles to communicate. We're fine, Megan said, just having an abstract conversation about linguistic parallelism. You wouldn't be interested, I said. It doesn't involve Scotsman. Well, actually, Cody said, the original tongue of my motherland. Megan and I looked at each other, then both pointedly reached to our mobiles and muted him. Let me know when he's done, Abraham, I said into mine. Abraham sighed on the other end of the line. Want to trade places? I'd sure like to be able to mute Cody myself right about now. It's regrettably difficult when he's sitting beside you. I chuckled, then glanced at Megan. She was still grinning. Seeing her smile made me feel like I'd done something grand. Megan, Tia said in our ears, keep on straight as you are. The convoy is progressing along the road without deviations. You should meet up in another 15 minutes or so. Affirmative. Outside, the streetlights flickered, as did the lights inside an apartment complex we were passing. Another brownout. So far, there hadn't been any looting. Enforcement walked the streets, and people were too frightened. Even as we drove past an intersection, I saw a large mechanized armor unit lumbering down a side street. 12 feet tall, with arms that were little more than machine gun barrels, the mechanized armor was accompanied by a 5-man enforcement corps. One soldier bore a distinctive energy weapon, painted bright red and warning. A few blasts from that could level a building. I've always wanted to pilot one of those armor units, I noted as we drove on. It's not much fun, Megan said. You've done it? I asked, shocked. Yeah, they're stuffy inside and they respond very sluggishly. She hesitated. I'll admit that firing both rotary guns with wild abandon can be rather fulfilling in a primal sort of way. We'll convert you away from those handguns yet. Not a chance, she said, reaching over and patting her underarm holster. What if I got stuck in close confines? Then you hit 'em with the stock of the gun, I said. If they're too far away from that, it's always better to have a gun you can actually hit with. She gave me a flat stare as she drove. Rifles take too much time. They're not spontaneous enough. This from the woman who complains when people improvise. I complain when you improvise, she said. That's different from improvising myself. Besides, not all handguns are inaccurate. Have you ever fired an MT-318? Nice gun, that, I admitted. If I had to carry a handgun, I'd consider an MT. Problem is, the thing is so weak, you might as well just be throwing the bullets at someone. Likely to hurt them about as much. If you're a good shot, it doesn't matter how much stopping power a gun has. If you're a good shot, I said solemnly, raising a hand to my breast, you're probably already using a rifle. She snorted. And what handgun would you pick, given the choice? Jennings 44. A Spitfire? She asked, incredulous. Those things shoot about as accurately as tossing a handful of bullets into a fire. Sure, but if I'm using a handgun, that means someone is in my face. I might not have a chance for a second shot, so I want to down them fast. At that point, accuracy doesn't matter, since they're so close anyway. Megan just rolled her eyes and shook her head. You're hopeless. You're buying into assumptions. You can be just as accurate with a handgun as you can with a rifle, and you can use it at more immediate ranges. In a way, because it's harder, truly skilled people use the handgun. Any slants can hit with a rifle. You did not just say that. I did, and I'm driving, so I get to decide when the argument is over. But that makes no sense. It doesn't need to, she says. It's a brick made out of porridge. You know, Tia said in our ears, You two could just each carry both a rifle and a handgun. That's not the point, I said at exactly the same time as Megan said, You don't understand. Whatever, Tia answered. I could hear her sipping cola. 10 minutes. Her tone said she was bored with our arguing. She, however, couldn't see that both of us were grinning. Sparks, I like this girl, I thought, eyeing Megan, who seemed to think she'd won the argument. I tapped the mute all button on my mobile. I'm sorry, I found myself saying. Megan raised an eyebrow at me. For doing what I did to the Reckoners, I said. For making everything go a different way than you wanted it to. For dragging you into this. She shrugged, then tapped her own mute button. I'm past it. What changed? Turns out I like you too much to hate you, Knees. She eyed me. Don't let it go to your head. I wasn't worried about my head. My heart, on the other hand, was another matter. A wave of shock ran through me. Had she really just said that? Before I could melt too far, however, my mobile flashed. Prof was trying to contact us. I tapped it with a quick snap. Stay sharp, you two, he told us. He sounded a little suspicious. Keep the lines up. Yes, sir, I said immediately. 8 minutes, Tia said. The convoy has taken a left on Freewanton. Turn right at the next intersection to continue on an intercept course. Megan focused on her driving, and so, to keep me from focusing too much on her, I went over the plan a few times in my head.